Dr. Seuss's Horse Museum, illustrated by Andrew Joyner. Art. What's it all about? This is what art is about. Art is when an artist looks at something, like a horse, for instance, and they see something in that horse that excites them, so they do something about it. They tell you about it in any one of a number of ways. Artists have been excited by horses for as long as there have been artists, but what an artist tells us about horses and how they tell us is different for every artist. What an artist sees in a horse depends on many different things, their background, likes and dislikes, you name it. So come with me. Let's look at how different artists have seen horses. Maybe we can find some new ways of looking at them ourselves. Look it over, think it over, talk it over. There's a statue of a horse. There's another statue and another one. They all look different. And there's some paintings, different paintings of horses. This horse has wings. Look at that horse. And that one. Oh, how interesting. Oh, that's not a horse. And even those look like horses. When most people look at me, they just see me like this. But when an artist looks at me, they see a million other things. Can you? Axes, Susan Rothenberg. Lintel from Rouquayrtus, France. Some artists look at a horse and see its outlines. To other artists, like this Chinese sculptor, a horse is not an outline at all. A horse is a bulk and a solid form. Harnessed horse, Northern Wei Dynasty. A Japanese artist looked at a horse. What he saw was beautiful lines from head to tail. Look at all the lines. Studies of horses. Kazushika Hokusuke. Sorry about the pronunciation. Some artists look at a horse and find color. Bedouins on horseback racing, Mankats. Study of Sussex farm horse, Robert Polehill Bevan. Look at the beautiful colors. And look at the color that the whole little boy is doing. The baby. Other artists are interested in shape. They looked at the shapes. Oh, my beautiful horse's Navajo pictorial blanket. That's a blanket. Cavallo Marino Marani. This artist looked at a horse and saw strength. Horses straining at a load, Charles Verlat. And there's an elephant. An elephant is strong. These artists looked and they saw speed. Horse in motion, Edward Muybridge. The Derby at Epsom, Theodore Géricault. They're all running in the museum. A Spaniard named Velázquez painted horses by the dozens. He saw them as something for kings and princes to sit on while he painted them. Velázquez worked for the kings and princes. He never got any money from the horses. Gaspar de Guzman, Count Duke of Olivares, Diego Velázquez. (1807), Friedland, Ernest Messiaen. This painting is by a Frenchman named Messiaen. Horses to him were something necessary to carry generals into battle. He loved to paint generals going into battle. To him, the horse was a jeep in the days before the jeep was invented. On the rock walls of a cave in France, nearly 22,000 years ago, someone painted this horse by the light of a fire. What did the cave artist see in a horse? We don't know. It's a mystery. What do you think? Chinese horse, Cock's Cave. Sorry for the pronunciations. 2,000 years ago in Greece, artists looked at horses and imagined them with wings. Pegasus was on an immortal flying horse in Greek mythology. Greek artists painted horses with wings as symbols for ideas like immortality that are hard to show in a picture. Jug, White Sakos painter. 500 years ago in Persia, people thought a horse was for having fun. And that's what the Persian artists saw when they looked at horses. The game of polo, illustration from the Book of Kings. St. George fighting the dragon, Raphael. 500 years ago in Italy, the artist Raphael looked at a horse. He thought that a horse was for fighting dragons on. Two horses in a paddock, George Stubbs. The Horse Fair, Rose Bonheur. Of course, some artists looked at horses and wanted to paint them just as they are. They appeared in the natural world, doing things that horses really do. We call this kind of art realistic. At the race, Edouard Manet. The harnessed horse, George Seurat. Other artists looked at horses and tried to capture them in a moment of time. We call this style of art impressionism. Impressionist art often has a soft, slightly out of focus appearance. Then we come to what people call modern art. Some people call this crazy stuff, and maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. But are paintings, drawings, and sculptures that show what certain these are paintings, drawings, and sculptures that show what certain artists imagined when they looked at a horse. So please look at them very carefully. There are lots of ways of looking at things. Maybe these pictures have something to tell you. Look at all these crazy horses, different shapes. I wonder if you could draw or paint or build a horse. Surrealism is a way of looking at things, including horses, that draws on, in part, an artist's dreams. Dreams can be very strange, and so can surrealist art. Maureen Rutting, Oscar Dominguez. It's a very different picture, isn't it? The Lost Jockey, René Magritte. Man with a Horse on His Head, Lucien Freud. Interesting pictures. Expressionism is an art style that uses exaggerated colors and brushstrokes to show the emotion an artist wants us to feel when we look at something. Horse Team, Edvard Munch. Blue Horse, Franz Marc. What do you feel when you look at this? Cubism is a way of looking at things from different angles at the same time. Cubists don't want to copy things the way they normally look. Very out of shape horses, isn't it? Very out of shape. Horsehead, study of Guernica, Pablo Picasso. I can't remember that name. Monitor and Horse, Pablo Picasso. A famous artist named Picasso liked horses. He liked bulls too. He drew a lot of them. Abstract art can have a subject, but it doesn't need one. It uses color and shape to create a visual experience. These abstract images do have subjects, horses and riders, of course. The Life of Toussaint Louverture, number 34, Jacob Lawrence. Lyrical, Vasily Kandinsky. This artist used just a few lines and splotches of color in this woodcut, but when you look at it, you can see a galloping horse and rider, right? Can you see it? What do you see when you look at branches and driftwood? The artist who made this sculpture saw a horse. Isn't that cool? Untitled Bark, Deborah Butterfield. This abstract drawing in space shows what looks like a big, strong horse, but you wouldn't want to sit on its back. All it is made of is thin steel wire. Ouch. Horse, Alexander Calder. An American painter named Jackson Pollock found a hobby horse head and glued it onto a canvas before doing his abstract drip painting. Pollock dripped, splattered, and flung paint as a way to insert himself into his paintings. Maybe this is Pollock on a horse. The wooden horse, Jackson Pollock. Interesting, huh? So what do you think? Is this stuff crazy, or is it crazy good? Looking at art and thinking about it is fun. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Museums are good places to find art. You can find art in other places too. One such place to look is in books. The horses shown below and to the right are from books illustrated by a man who never studied drawing. His name was Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss didn't ride horses, but he looked at them carefully, and he saw something in them. Can you guess what that something was? Look at his horse. So look at that horse once again. A horse is many, many things, all depending on what you see. The end.